Have you ever felt like the world slows down once you're past 60, but deep inside, there's still a quiet, persistent desire to make a difference? Maybe you've reached a time in life when things seem to have lost their meaning. The days go on. The routines repeat. And silently, deep within, a question begins to form. Is there still something new waiting for me? You might look around and notice friends pulling away, dreams being put on shelves, or even feel like your voice has grown quieter with time. If you're over 60, maybe you've been led to believe that the time for big changes has already passed, that now is the season to slow down, to step aside. But what if that story isn't true? What if this is actually the beginning of a new chapter, one that's more conscious, more free, and more powerful than ever? Because here's what we often forget. With age comes something rare, a kind of wisdom that only life experience can bring, a quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself, a freedom to focus on what really matters without the noise and pressure of the world rushing in. In this video, we're going to talk about how to reignite that inner spark, how to rediscover your sense of purpose, how to care for yourself with love, and yes, how to transform the lives of those around you with the experience, the presence, and the heart that only you have. And maybe, just maybe, your soul has been whispering this truth to you all along. If you're over 60 or love someone who is, stay with us. What you'll hear today might just change the way you see aging and the way you see life. Your body hears what your soul whispers, and your soul, it remembers who you are. This isn't just a video, it's a gentle invitation, a moment to pause, to listen, not to the noise outside, but to the quiet truth within you. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not alone. Life is still listening. And maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something beautiful. There's something quietly revolutionary about choosing to begin again, especially after 60. For many, this stage of life is painted as a time of endings, retirement, slowing down, letting go. But beneath these assumptions, a truth often goes unnoticed. Our capacity for transformation doesn't expire with age. Science has shown that the human brain is remarkably adaptable. Even in later years, it can form new connections, build new habits, and respond with vitality to fresh experiences. The body, too, remains responsive, especially when approached with care, presence, and intention. But this isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring this chapter for what it truly is. A space of deeper clarity where the noise has softened, and what remains is what really matters. Starting over doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means allowing the past to become the rich soil from which something new can grow. It might be learning something you've always been curious about, or waking up earlier to walk under the morning light, or simply choosing to relate to your own story with more compassion than before. The invitation here isn't loud or urgent, it's subtle, gentle. You don't need a dramatic event to begin again. Sometimes all it takes is a quiet moment of honesty, when you look at yourself and say, this part of my life isn't over. I'm still here, and I still matter. There is power in that kind of beginning. Not because it changes the world overnight, but because it changes how you see yourself, and that changes everything. There are things that only time can teach. A quiet patience, the ability to sit with uncertainty, the wisdom to know when to speak and when silence carries more weight. These aren't skills you learn in books. They are earned through living. And they're exactly what the world needs now. In a society that often rushes forward, forgetting its own roots, your presence carries something grounding, something steady, the stories you've lived. Not just the big moments, but the small ones too, hold a kind of medicine, lessons that can light the way for others. A memory shared with a grandchild, a reflection offered in a conversation, a moment of listening that makes someone feel seen, and none of it needs to be perfect. In fact, it's the imperfections, the setbacks, the quiet resilience that touch others most deeply. This isn't about giving advice or trying to impress. It's about allowing your life to speak, whether through writing, volunteering, gathering with friends, or simply offering a kind word. Every shared piece of your journey can become a thread in someone else's fabric of hope. There's a reason elders were once seen as the wisdom keepers of the community, because when they speak from the heart, without pretense, people listen. Not because of the volume of their voice, but because of the depth behind it. Your experience is not just yours to carry. It's a gift, and somewhere, someone is quietly waiting for exactly what you've lived. There's a quiet truth that many learn only later in life. Caring for others begins with caring for oneself. It may sound simple, but for those who have spent years placing others first, children, partners, responsibilities, the act of turning inward, of listening to one's own needs, can feel unfamiliar. But self-care is not selfish. It is sacred. It's the foundation that allows your presence to be steady, your energy to be clear, your heart to remain open. When the body is nourished, the mind finds space to rest. And when the mind finds space, the soul breathes more freely. This care doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes it looks like a slow stretch in the morning, a meal prepared with attention, a walk where you truly notice the air, the sounds, the light filtering through the trees. There's healing in these small moments. Equally important is tending to your emotional landscape, naming your feelings without judgment, allowing space for joy, sorrow, nostalgia, and hope, all as valid companions on this journey. And when you begin to fill your own well again, you'll notice something shift. You'll have more to give, but less from depletion. You'll be able to hold others with warmth, not because you must, but because your own inner ground feels strong. Your well-being isn't a luxury. It's what gives your life depth, rhythm, and renewal. And in nurturing yourself with gentleness, you become a quiet invitation for others to do the same. Once seen as foreign or intimidating, technology has quietly become a powerful ally, not only for staying informed, but for staying connected. In a world that often moves faster than we expect, digital tools can offer something surprisingly tender. The chance to be close, even from afar, a message from a grandchild, a virtual gathering of old friends, a shared laugh through a screen. These small moments are no less real. They are threads that help keep relationships alive. Beyond connection, technology can also be a doorway to growth. Whether it's a video that opens your mind to a new idea, a course that reignites an old interest, or a podcast that makes you feel less alone, the digital world holds a vast landscape of possibilities. And there's no need to know everything. The magic lies in curiosity, clicking on something unfamiliar, exploring without pressure, asking for help when needed. Every step, no matter how small, is a form of expansion. But perhaps the greatest gift of technology is this: it reminds us that the world is still full of wonder, that we can keep discovering, keep sharing, keep participating, not in spite of age, but in harmony with it, in the gentle hum of a video call, in the quiet satisfaction of learning something new, in the feeling of being part of something larger, even from the comfort of home. These aren't just conveniences, they are bridges. and every bridge crossed, no matter the pace, reconnects us to the living current of life. There's a unique kind of fulfillment that arises not from what we achieve, but from what we offer. In the later chapters of life, the search for meaning often shifts. It becomes less about building something for the future and more about being present, here and now, in a way that uplifts others. This doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's found in the smallest acts, listening deeply to someone who needs to be heard, helping where help is quietly needed, offering your time with no expectation in return. Volunteering, in its many forms, is one path that often opens this door. It brings not only connection, but purpose, the kind of purpose that isn't measured by recognition, but by the quiet knowing that you've lightened someone's day. When we engage in something beyond ourselves, even briefly, we tap into something ancient, a rhythm that has always guided human life: care, cooperation, presence, and that presence begins to reflect back. Helping others often reveals truths about ourselves, our capacity for love, our resilience, our hidden strength. It reminds us that we are still participants in this world, still shaping it with each kind word, each open hand, to offer your time, your story, your care. It is a gift, not just to the world, but to your own spirit. Because in giving, we remember that we belong, and in belonging, we remember who we are. The mind, like the heart, thrives on movement, not the hurried kind, but the quiet, steady unfolding that comes with curiosity. There is a beauty in learning that has nothing to do with tests or degrees. It's the kind of learning that opens space inside you, that stirs your thoughts, that brings a gentle light into ordinary days. At this stage of life, learning takes on a different rhythm. It's not driven by pressure, it's guided by wonder. A book that offers a new perspective, a documentary that deepens your understanding of the world, a conversation that makes you pause and reflect. Even the act of exploring a new recipe, a song, or a piece of art, all of it feeds the mind in quiet and meaningful ways. The brain remains alive to growth. Science has shown this again and again. New pathways can form. Memory can strengthen. Attention can sharpen, especially when curiosity is nurtured with kindness, not urgency. This isn't about filling your time. It's about enriching your presence. It's about giving your inner world the nourishment it deserves. And when we stay open to learning, something beautiful happens. We begin to see life not as something to endure, but as something to explore, still full of questions, textures, and invitations. In every season, the mind can bloom. And even now, there are doors you haven't walked through yet, ideas that haven't yet reached you, parts of yourself still waiting to be met, because the spirit of learning doesn't fade. It softens, it deepens, and in doing so, it keeps you connected, not only to the world around you, but to the unfolding mystery within. There are moments when a single voice, a familiar smile, or a gentle hand resting on yours can hold more healing than 1,000 words. Human connection doesn't need to be loud or constant. What it needs is presence. The kind that says, "I see you. I'm here." In the later seasons of life, relationships shift. Some grow deeper. Others fall away. Loss may visit more often, but even in these changes, the need for meaningful connection remains. Not for noise, but for closeness, for being known. It's in the long conversation over tea, the shared silence between two old friends, the feeling of being understood without having to explain everything. Community can take many shapes: a local group, a circle of neighbors, a weekly phone call. What matters is not how many people are around you, but how deeply you're able to be yourself in their presence. True connection doesn't demand perfection. It welcomes honesty. It allows space for laughter and for tears. It offers a mirror where you are reflected not by what you've done, but by who you are. And when we invest in these kinds of relationships, something inside begins to settle. We remember that we were never meant to journey through life alone. The heart, like the body, thrives when it feels held, not in grand gestures, but in the steady, quiet rhythms of love that remain even when words fall short. Relationships, real, nourishing ones, are not just companions for the road. They are part of the meaning we're all seeking. And when we nurture them, we don't just stay connected to others, we stay connected to the deepest parts of ourselves. The path of transformation doesn't always begin with certainty. More often, it begins with a quiet ache, a longing for something more honest, more alive, more deeply felt. And this longing is not a flaw. It's a signal. It means you're still listening, still open, still here. At this point in life, healing doesn't need to look dramatic. It's not about undoing the past or erasing what's been lived. It's about integrating, weaving together all the parts of your story with care and clarity. Each time you choose to rest instead of rush, to reflect instead of regret, to soften instead of harden, something inside begins to mend. This process may be invisible to others, but you will feel it in the return of a quiet joy, in a deeper breath, in the sense that even if things aren't perfect, they are somehow more aligned. There is no fixed timeline for healing, no final destination, only a series of steps, some small, some bold, that gradually bring you back to what matters. Back to yourself. You may find that what once seemed like an ending is now revealing itself as a doorway, that what you thought you had lost is returning in a different form, softer, wiser, more complete. And through it all, life continues to whisper, "You are not broken. You are becoming, and this becoming, no matter your age, is its own kind of miracle." There is a moment, sometimes unexpected, often quiet, when you realize that this chapter of your life is not a winding down, but a deepening, not an ending, but a return to what matters, to who you truly are beneath all the roles you've played. Throughout this journey, we've touched on the power of new beginnings, the strength of your lived experience, the quiet importance of self-care, and the value of connection with others, with learning, with your own spirit. And if there's one truth that holds all these threads together, it's this: the power to transform doesn't fade. It shifts, it softens, it becomes more honest, more tender. There is still so much life in you, not in what you must achieve, but in how you choose to be present. Your steps don't need to be loud to matter. Your presence, your voice, your story, they carry a resonance that only time can give. So if today has stirred something in you, a sense of possibility, a flicker of hope, let it be. Let it grow gently in its own time. Because even now, the journey continues, not toward perfection, but toward meaning, toward connection, toward wholeness, and maybe, just maybe, this is where something beautiful truly begins.